I will now share my screen and okay, that's not what I intend to show you. Yes, this is what I intend to show you. I hope you all can see my slide deck. If someone can give me a confirmation, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks. Thank you everyone for joining in. This is our July episode of our Garage session, where we will be talking about extending your SAP S4HANA system with the help of SAP Build Process Automation, which is typically a service hosted on top of BTP. What is SAP Build Process Automation? What is BTP? What is S4HANA? I am assuming that you know about it. If not, and if you are joining us for the first time, I would request you to visit our former Garage sessions. We have a lot of podcasts available, a lot of reading materials available that you can refer to. But before that, I would like to, extend a greetings and a warm welcome to, making time for joining these Garage sessions. If you don't know what SAP Garage is all about, the motivation behind hosting these Garage sessions is to, enable the ecosystem, enable the partners, customers, individual developers, citizen developers to, get hands-on top of BTP services and how to, develop services and end-to-end solutions leveraging these business services and then host these solutions on top of BTP. So if you are a partner, if you are an enterprise, if you are a small sized business looking to adopt cloud and to do it with SAP BTP, I would say this is the right place where you are coming in, because we do have experts from various LOBs. Like today we have Syed, who would be walking us through this use case and giving you how to do this real time in your landscapes. Yeah. So that is the whole idea for Garage. And in today's session, we will be picking up this beautiful use case. We will be extending your SAP S4HANA via services and then building a solution, or I would say building an end-to-end solution on top of BTP where you can see the benefits out of it. The whole idea is to give you hands-on demo, but it's a bit challenging to showcase everything, all the nitty-gritties in an hour. So we will be picking up the building blocks, I would say the highlights for this whole scenario. But if you want to do this your hands-on and get your hands dirty, feel free to start these missions at your time and at your space. A small disclaimer: all these missions, starting these missions, are free of cost. There is no charge to get started with these missions, where we do have support from our experts like Sayed and other experts as well, who can guide you and move past your building blocks or your blockers that you're facing right now. So I won't talk much about the mission, but that's where we have Syed, who would be talking more about these missions and walking you through with these missions. But then who all are there in the garage today? Myself, Gaurav, speaking right now, and I am part of BTP project management team. And our main goal is to, as I said, enable these adoptions with these sessions, garage sessions and others likes in that. I have with me my colleague Andreas and his boy, who would be also there to support you if you have some pressing queries as well. And then finally we have Syed, the expert with us, who would be also introducing himself and the session as well. And then obviously you, who are making these Garage sessions a huge success. So keep motivating us, keep spreading the knowledge, and keep spreading these sessions with your circle as well. And thank you for making the Garage wonderful sessions. And with that, I would hand it over to Syed, who can then walk you through the mission and then also introduce himself. Thanks, Syed. Over to you.
Okay, so thank you, Gaurav, for a brief introduction about the Discovery Center missions, which we are going to demonstrate right now. Apart from that, what is the motivations? What is the background of this scenario? We will going to break forward. But first of all, let me introduce myself. And my name is Syed Ijazuddin. And I work for end-to-end scenario enablement team at SAP, where our mostly job is to create a end-to-end extension scenario with SAP S4 or multiple SAP system. And then we try to create a content for our customers and partner in SAP Discovery Centers. So this extend SAP S4HANA with SAP Build Process Automation is one typical scenario where we are going to demonstrate how you can leverage this no-code capabilities on SAP S4HANA, how you can create an extensions how you can leverage all the side-by-side extension capabilities for SAP S4 with event-driven technologies, how you can leverage no-code tools and integrate with pro-code applications. So all these things we are going to demonstrate in this, and I will be going to walk through the missions first, going through what are the scenarios which we are going to see today, what are the details which we are going to see today. And then we are going to go in depth. We are also going to show you the demo, what is the demo of that particular application, and all these details, and then we can have a Q&A. Okay, so before that, let me just share my screen. I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, here we can.
Perfect. So this extend SAP S4HANA with SAP Build Process Automation. As you know that SAP Build has 3 capabilities right now, which is one is a Build Process Automation, other one is a Build Apps, and second one, the last one is SAP Build Box. It's a combination of workflows, actions, and combinations of IRPA tools. So it's basically the combination of both IRPA and workflows. Now, regarding to coming with this particular no-code applications, what exactly this capability provides that it gives you a mechanism to automate your whole business processes using the workflows. And then you can have an approval mechanism where a person can approve and request, he can reject your request from his side. And then there is a term called decisions, which is basically our business rules for you, where you can define what are the different conditions where you want to meet on this particular automations. So in this scenario, we have a few stories which we have covered, but before that, we wanted to tell you that, okay, that let's imagine that you have a SAP S4HANA system, okay, and the SAP S4HANA system is especially dedicated to particular organizations, and you don't want this SAP S4HANA system to be touched by any other person. Maybe it can be a vendor, it can be a third-party person, and you wanted to keep this SAP S4HANA system very clean because it's obviously a very precious ERP system for you. And then you want that all the business transactions to be handled by some third-party applications or maybe a third-party tools without having a direct access with SAP S4. So in this case, you have a 2 scenarios. So you can have a pro-code application where you can develop a full-fledged, full-stack application, which is called Cloud, which uses Cloud application programming model. And the second scenario is that you can also develop a no-code application using SAP Build Process Automation or SAP Build Apps, and then you can try to integrate with this SAP S4HANA system. But this scenario, if extend SAP S4HANA system, we are trying to use both, which is a pro-code application as well as a no-code application. So we are going to show you that how this no-code application will also get in touch with pro-code, and all these 2 combination can talk to your SAP S4HANA system. So the story of this is that, right, let's suppose Acme is a company and Acme has a SAP S4HANA system, and basically the purpose of Acme is to onboard a new supplier in their SAP S4HANA system, okay? But whenever the new supplier is onboarded, Acme has a very challenging environment that the new supplier can be a fake, and we wanted to make full authorization that, okay, this supplier has to be a genuine one, okay? And then only we can give them the access to work on that, to do the business transaction, to make some purchasing orders. But before that, we wanted to validate whether the supplier is a genuine one. And for that, we have given a contract to a third-party vendor called iCredible. And then we wanted to tell them, okay, iCredible, please verify the supplier and whether the supplier is genuine or not. And this supplier, right, this iCredible vendor, right, then what they do that they will go to the supplier addresses, they will validate whether the supplier is genuine. And once they will validate it, right, then approval will then accept and finally enable the supplier to make the businesses in SAP S4HANA system, okay? So in this case, we are going to show you that without direct access to a SAP S4HANA system, how we can try and how we can do all those transactions very smoothly, right? So let me show you first a solution diagram. I hope you're also able to see the solution diagram right in front of my screen. So if you see the left-hand side, we have a SAP S4HANA on-premise system. And the purpose of right now in this scenario is to onboard a new supplier, okay? And what we are trying to do is that you can see this SAP Build Process Automation. So SAP Build Process Automation is right now the function of this is to first onboard a new supplier. Okay, so SAP Build Process Automation will give you a simple UI in the type form where you can simply fill some basic supplier details. Okay, I want this supplier to get first onboarded. Okay, it will come to your approval. Approval will see whether the entered field is correct or not, or if anything is missing or not. And once he will approve it out, right, the supplier will first get onboarded to SAP S4HANA system with some conditions. So what is the condition right now is that we are putting all the supplier business in the block state. We don't want the transaction date. Okay, we just have, well, like you can say, primarily onboarded into our S4HANA system. But now we wanted that supplier to get validated with some third-party system, okay, which is called iCredible in right now. So when the supplier will get onboarded in SAP S4HANA system through the build process automation, event will get triggered from the event mesh, from the eventing of S4HANA system, and it will arrive at event mesh. Okay, there is a cloud application programming model, which is listen to your event and it will receive all your details of supplier. Okay, and this cloud foundry application, right, has authorization from the iCredible person, and he will go to the supplier addresses. He will validate all its detail whether the supplier is genuine. And once the supplier is genuine, and if there is some kind of little bit changes is required, he can do that part. Okay, and then he will tell the approval, okay, this supplier is validated. I have went to his home and our offices, and he is very genuine supplier. You can really allow him to do the transaction of businesses with you. And then the approval will accept the request from iCredible application. And then once the approval will finally do the approval that, okay, this supplier is genuine, I wanted him to enable the businesses. Then finally, you can do the push request back from the OData calls, okay, by the cloud connector, and then this supplier become enabled. So this is basically the whole story of this particular scenario. And before we arrive at the condition, we are also going to show you what exactly we are trying to do. So the first thing is that we are going to show you that in the first persona that there is a supplier request form, which is provided by you from the build process automation. Okay, it's a simple UI form where you can simply fill up a few of the details of the supplier. Then the build process automation decision will tell you that who should be the approver. So in my case, like I have told that, okay, this for this particular country code, this particular person should be the approver. So based on the country code, we have divided the approval details. You can have a lot more condition on that. Okay. And then business rules will define your approval details, and it will then go to the finally approval. So approval will arrive at your one inbox as a task where approval will see all the details, review all the details, arrive from the supplier request form. And then finally, once it will approve, the supplier will get onboarded to your SAP S4HANA system via the actions. So actions is basically an OData wrapper API calls, which build process automation provides you. So basically, once you create actions from the API business hub metadata of the business partner API, actions will allow you to create or hit or do any kind of post, put, or patch request in SAP S4HANA system. So once the supplier is created in SAP S4HANA system, a CAP-based application will listen to your event, which has a trigger from S4HANA system, and it will allow you to get all the records into your Fiori application. Now, this is the first persona which we have told. Okay. Now, in the second persona, once the business partner validation, right, validate the supplier, it will go to your home, it will validate, okay, this supplier is correct. It will again tell the approval by the trigger API, okay, that, okay, I wanted to hit the business process automation. So now in this scenario, right, you will notice that we are integrating cloud application programming model and build process automation. So basically now we are integrating a no-code application with a pro-code application. And we are saying that, okay, this pro-code application, which is a CAP application, will hit the build process automation, okay, and will hit the trigger API, and then another process will going to get started, okay. Then again, it will go to the decision where another approval will approves the request. And then once the final approval will happen, then the supplier will get enabled and you can start doing the businesses with purchasing order, or even the payment of a supplier can be triggered by these actions. Okay. So in this case, right now, if you can see that third-party system doesn't need any access to SAP S4HANA system. So all the access of SAP S4HANA system has to be with the ACME, which is the main organization handling all these requests. Okay, our third-party vendor will do all this task from the CAP programming model, and he will directly talk with the S4HANA system via the build process automation or via the cloud connectors as a third-party vendor. So here we are using multiple technologies to do all those tasks. The technology is one is the event-driven technology, which is Event Mesh. Second one is connectivity tools, and of course, an OData and cloud connector. Another thing is we are using build process automation for no-code capabilities, and then cloud application programming model for no-code application. We are also using SAP Build Work Zone for a launchpad, and then all our data get persisted into HANA Cloud. Let me show you a quick demo so that you can have a better understanding what exactly I wanted to have a look. But before that, I also wanted to show you a quick, let me just. Okay. So this is, let me just go to this part. Perfect. So this is supplier approval and creation in SAP S4HANA. The first step we are going to do in SAP S4HANA. So what this process is going to do? This process will onboard your supplier via the request form, and directly it will add your supplier to SAP S4HANA system without any access, direct access with SAP S4 system. Okay. So what we are trying to achieve here. So if you see here, we have few components. We will drill down on that component, and we will see what exactly all these things are there. But there is a simple request form. Let me just so we have a supplier request form, which is basically a UI, and I can show you a UI quickly. So this is basically a UI which you're going to create directly from SAP S4HANA system from the build process automation. And if I directly drill down to you further, I can show you the no-code capabilities in front of you. So you can see this, right? This is simple drag and drop capabilities where you can easily go and drag and drop your components and add into your particular layout. So you can see this, right? We can have a lot of functionality to add, like you can add headlines, you can have paragraph, text. You can also add a file handling capabilities via the document management services. You can add link, a lot more. You can add table as well. If you have more line items, then you can definitely add that part as well. So in this case, we are adding a few small fields like supplier name, street, city, postal code, and country, just to make enable to add the supplier into SAP S4HANA system. Okay. What then will happen that once it is added, then you have a decision. Okay. And the decision will do your approval details, that it will going to see whether what are the component of the decision. So if I will just open my decision right now in front of you. Yeah, so you can see that if I will open the rules, business rules. So you can see that you have a few country code. Based on the country code, we are defining by the approval, and I wanted to put my supplier into the block state. That is why I am putting this central block as true. And this is the role of the supplier, which as of now is a technical role which is needed to add into supplier SAP S4HANA system. Once it is done, then it will go to the approval. Approval will just go and it's the same UI. Okay. And then this is the action. So what this action will do, that it will hit your SAP S4HANA system, and it will create a new business partner record into SAP S4 system. So let me just go and quickly add your few supplier name. Okay. And let me just, in this case, I will add a simple name that, okay, I want BTP. Jump, and then I will add some street called Packmer, and then city. Let me do some postal code is, I will say 1235 just for us. And then in the radio button, I will add some country code. Let's suppose I'm adding a country code for Germany. And once I will do that part, I simply have to say submit in the down. And once I will do submit, a workflow will get triggered for you. Okay. And once the workflow will get triggered, it will go to the business tools, it will check who is your approval, and then finally it will come to your approval, supplier approval. So I will go to my inbox. Sorry. I will go to my inbox. I will refresh my inbox. So you can see that you have a new supplier, which is arrive at your one inbox, a new task, and then the approval, right? He will just have to go and review this task. Okay, that what are the entered from the colleague. So he will just see, okay, the supplier name, street, city, postal code, country, which has been arrived. So he has two options from the approval. He can either reject or approve. And once he will approve, then actions will going to get triggered and action will hit your SAP S4HANA system. And you can see that action will create a new record for you in SAP S4HANA system. Okay. So here you can see we have a new record and SAP S4HANA system. So you have a supplier ID. So maybe I will just copy that part as well. And you have a supplier name. And you can see these are the blocking status right now in SAP S4HANA system. It means the center block is blocked, payment of the supplier is blocked, and the purchasing of the supplier is blocked. It means the supplier can no longer do any transaction right now in SAP S4HANA system. It is just in a blocked status, okay? And without any further validation, we cannot allow them to do the transaction, right? So that is why we have put it. Let's review this detail into SAP S4HANA system. So I will go here and I will just copy this. So you can see a new supplier is arrived. And let me just go and create a supplier role. So you can see that this is the name of the supplier. This is the addresses where we have put it out. If I go to the status, you can see the central block is blocked right now. And if I go to the winter general data, you can see the payment of the supplier is also blocked. If I go further and see the purchasing order of the supplier, whether the purchasing capabilities is enabled or not, you can see that it's still disabled. Okay, so right now we have blocked the status of payment and purchases of the supplier, and we don't want them to do any transaction right now, just for a safe side. Okay, and then what will happen that once the supplier is enabled in SAP S4HANA system, right? An event will get triggered from SAP S4 system. It will arrive at the Event Mesh. And then there is a third-party application which is located on Cloud Foundry, which is listening to your events, all the whatever the supplier which is getting added to S4 HANA system, it is listening all your records via the Event Mesh. So let me arrive at the we just submit for acknowledgement, and let me just go to the business partner validation application, which is our third-party vendor application. Okay, so this is basically a third-party vendor application. Okay, and this application is in the hand of third-party vendor called iCredible. So they will have all the update of whatever the supplier is getting added to S4HANA system, but they don't have access to SAP S4HANA directly, but they can do all the transaction via this particular application. So if you can see here, we have one new record, BTP champ, okay? And you can see that this business partner ID is arrived, and you have a business partner name, you have a verification status new because it's a new record. Okay? And you have the addresses of the business partners like address ID, street name, city, country, and the postal codes. Now, once these things is arrived, then the business partner validation colleague will have to go to the particular application, will have to go to the particular location of the supplier, and then they have to validate all the details. Okay, so let me go back to the just to review you that what exactly now which part of the game is like which part of the scenario is completed. So we have already completed this scenario where we have loaded the data in supplier form, decision, and then approval has approved the request, and then you can see that the supplier is created in SAP S4HANA system. Okay, and then in the end you have a CAP-based business partner validation application where you can see that all the detail has came here, and you are going to do a validation of this particular application of this particular supplier. Now in the next phase, what we're going to show you that how this ProCode application, which is basically a CAP-based application, will integrate with Build Process Automation via the Trigger API. Okay, so in this case, you can see that once the business partner validation application will go to the supplier address, it will verify whether the supplier is genuine or not. So once it is find that, okay, I have my background verification is done, it has multiple choices then. And the choice is that it can say that, okay, the supplier may be fake. It can be say that supplier is invalid, or he can say that the supplier is valid. Okay. So in this case, let's suppose example that the supplier which BTP champ is a valid supplier, and the business third-party vendor applications will go and choose this verified. And if you want to do any kind of changes on the street or postal code, he can definitely do that part. And then what he can do that he will do save. Once he will do the save, right, another workflow will going to get triggered. Okay. And if I will just go here, and if I will refresh, you can see another workflow is get triggered. Let me go back and see what are these workflows, by the way. So if you go to this workflow, this is a second workflow, which is supplier payment and purchase unblocking. Okay. And you can see that instead of form, right now we are using a trigger API. This trigger API will give you a scenario where you can directly integrate with any application. Okay. It will give you a full-fledged API, full-blown API with all the payloads required. So in this case, we have created a trigger API in Build Process Automation, which exposes your artifact to any application. And then you can see that we have business tools where approval details are there. And in the finally, we are supplier approval is there. So let me just open this supplier approval for you. So in this supplier approval, you can see that we have a few fields, which is supplier ID and supplier name. We just are telling from the CAP application that this supplier has passed the background verification. So please approve this supplier to enable the payment and purchases of the supplier. Okay. So in this case, you can see this is the task, same task. And what we are going to do that we are going to say this supplier, okay, this supplier is approved. So once the supplier is approved, okay, so what will happen that in the SAP S4HANA system, let me just expand the supplier details. And if I will go to the general data, the first thing is that the system will get updated to verified, saying that this particular supplier is the verified one. Okay. And then in the status, your central block is enabled. So it means that all the internal businesses can be accessible via the supplier. Okay. Similarly, in the vendor to general data, you can see that we have a payment block as enabled. It means that you can do all the payment transaction with this particular supplier. And in the end, you can see that we have also enabled the purchases of the supplier. So we go here. Purchasing block has been enabled. So in this case, you can see that this particular scenario from the CAP application, from the Build Process Automation, we have directly interacted with SAP S4HANA system. And you can also notice that in the CAP application, once this is verified, the status of this will change to completed status. It means once the supplier will get updated finally, once the center block is unblocked, again, an event is going to get triggered and it will say to the application from the ITW application that all the relevant updation has been completed, supplier has been enabled, and you can mark this as completed status. It means that we no longer can do any kind of editing on this particular supplier. So this is the part of this particular scenario, a story. And I've also wanted to walk you through detail of the project board, what exactly you have to do in this particular project board. So in this case, the first thing is that you have a Discovery Center's project board where you are going to go and see that what are the details you have to put it out. Okay. So I mean, like it will give you a basic overview. What are the basic story? What are the basic information you are going to? What are the basic learning you are going to expect from these missions? Okay. Similarly, this is the learning of the goal and outcome of this particular mission. There are also a few prerequisites we have put, like what you can expect from this build process automation. So you have a basic learning overview as well. Okay. And these all are the basics overview. So it doesn't, it's not a mandatory to complete, but it just give you a great edge in learning. So you can also learn about the SAP Build Process Automation. And then you have a SAP Event Mesh. You have a few learning as well. And then you have a learning about the SAP Cloud Application Programming Model. So once you do that part, you will have to log on that, and then you also have to start your missions before that, and then you have to just log in a few of the details, and then you can quickly start the mission for free. And you just need few prerequisites as well to start your missions. Here. Sorry for a bit of time it is taking. We just refresh this. Perfect. Perfect. So let me just go back a bit first. Yeah. So you will see that you will have a few tiles. So once I will go here, sorry, I again have to log in. Sorry.
Yeah, meanwhile, this loads, participants, you can also start the mission and see it yourself as well.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
that is also
That
you can do.
makes sense. Yeah, so it's right. So you have a cloud application programming models, and then you can see all your progress. What is the progress you have, how much time it is taking, and then you can, there's all the links which is available, and then you can jump to the next one. So if you can see this here, you have a prerequisites. So there are prerequisites to start with this application, like you have a SAP S4HANA system. If you are aware of Cloud Appliance Library from the CAL system, you can also create your SAP S4HANA system, okay, directly. We have also have an option that if you don't have SAP S4HANA system, we are also giving you an option to try with a mock server. So we have created a mock server for you for SAP S4HANA system, just for to complete this scenario. So in this case, you don't actually need an SAP S4HANA system. You just have to deploy the mock server, and then you can directly complete your application as well. Okay. So this is one such thing. Second thing is that you have a choice to either try it in Visual Studio Codes as a local, or you can also try from the Cloud Business Application Studio. Okay. And then you have to get the CAP application, which is located into our GitHub repository, which we have also given to you in this scenario. And then you have a few entitlement, which is required to complete this scenario, like HANA Cloud, Cloud Foundry Runtime, Event Mesh, Destination and Connectivity Services for SAP S4HANA system, and of course, the HANA Cloud. Once you have completed this scenario, then I have also told that if you really want to create a SAP S4HANA system, test system, a real S4HANA system, then you can directly go and create it from the Cloud Appliance Library. So once you have created a SAP S4HANA system, we have also given you a step-by-step guidance to how to create HANA Cloud Service Instance in BTP. So you have a local account, and then you go to your sub account, and in the sub account, you can create a full-fledged HANA database, because you have to persist all your database coming from iCredible application, a business partner validation application in this particular HANA Cloud. And there is a step-by-step guidance on how you can create your HANA Cloud, okay, with all the prerequisites, where you can go and easily create a full-fledged HANA Cloud for your applications. So once you have configured your HANA Cloud, right, then you task is to subscribe and configure your build process automation. So basically, build process automation, you have to first make sure that you have a entitlement is present for that, and then you can easily create full-fledged services and subscriptions from this particular entitlement, and then you have a full-fledged subscription available on your cockpit. And then you have to assign few roles to manage your processes, like process admin, process developer, or process participants, based on your organization, based on your distributions. And once you have done this out, right, then you can create an instance and subscription. So this instance and subscription is basically needed to get your all the credentials. So if you wanted to hit your SAP Build Process Automation from any kind of RESTful client or any kind of cloud application programming model, then you have to get the details or credential of the SPA. And for that, you have to go and create an instance and then you can create a service key. So service key will give you all the details like API endpoint to start your workflows. It will also give you access UA details like client ID, client secret, and then authorization token to start your flow. So these are the full-fledged documentation provided for you. And once you have completed this configure, then you have to enable the OData services in SAP S4HANA system. So enable OData services is required because this will only act as a bridge for you. So you have to add a business partner API in SAP S4HANA system. So you can see that we are adding, we have using a service gateway builder, and then we have added our standard API business partner here. And then once you have done it out, then if you wanted to try with administrative roles, administrative user, you are free to do. But if you want to delegate via the technical user, there is also a step to show you how you can delegate via the technical user, how you can create a technical user in SAP S4HANA system on premise, how you can give them the roles. And these are the few steps where you can go and directly assign the colleague or delegate all your roles to the multiple colleagues via the technical users. Once you have done it out, then we have also given a step to just go and test it out. So if you are already S4 expert, then of course this is very good. But if you're somebody is new to SAP S4HANA system, then this documentation will be useful for them to go through the on-premise system. Then in the end, we are also for the S4HANA relevant, we are showing you how you can establish a connectivity between SAP S4HANA system and SAP BTP. Of course, this is by the cloud connector right now. So in this case, we are showing you how the step-by-step guidance are there to add a sub account into the cloud connector, then how you can add a cloud to on-premise mapping. Okay. And then once you have did it out, this cloud connector part, then you have to go to the SAP BTP where you have to create a destination. Okay. Then you can see that we have given a destination here, which we are going to use that into our cloud application programming model and build process automation to have interaction with SAP S4HANA system. So this is a step-by-step guidance to create a connectivity. And once you have established a connectivity between SAP S4HANA system, then our next job is to jump into build process automation. So I told you that actions is a wrapper of API where it's needed to talk with any SAP on SAP SP system from build process automation. It's one of the great feature of build process automation. And you can directly create it from the, if you select, suppose example, you want to create for business partner API in SAP S4 system. So you can directly go to the API from this particular API business hub, which is now renamed as Business Accelerator Hub. And then you can go and download the API specification of JSON, and then you can directly import it into your in your project. And once you do that part, right, you can directly go and create an actions. And once you have created this JSON, right, you can directly see that all the artifact we directly imported. Okay, so you don't have to do any kind of codes or anything. Once you import the JSON, all the related will be present here. You just have to go and choose whatever that is relevant for you. In this case, I'm just wanted to create a new record. So I just choose post A_business partner. Similarly, if you want a get request of A_business partner, you can do that part. And once you have did it out, right, you can also have a flexibility to add or delete the field, whatever you need. And then in the end, finally, we are doing a quick full-fledged testing. So once you do that part, you can also do a local test. It means once you have created an actions, you can also do a local testing as well without deployment. So this, you can see that we have used a simple get request. We have used the same view part destination, which is basically calling SAP S4HANA system. And this view part destination is present in SAP BTP. And once you can hit the get request, you can see that we are getting a data. It means your action is very up. In the next card, we are going to also show you that how you can configure the business processes, like how you can create like artifact and build process automation. So basically, it's a drag and drop model. So we have in this documentation, we have shown you two business processes. One is a supplier approval and creation, which is needed to onboard your supplier in S4HANA. Second one is payment and purchases, which we are going to show you later, which is basically used to talk from cloud application programming model to build process automation. And then you can see that we have given a step-by-step guidance for you. So how you can create a form, a simple drag and drop scenario. And this is very cool that you don't have to, it's a great learning tool for you that you can directly go and that is a drag and drop from the tool and directly start playing with this build process automation tools. So once you have completed it out, then second one is payment and purchasing supplier. So you can see that we have also a business process for payment and purchase unblocking. And then you can see that same step-by-step guidance is present here as well, where we have also shown you that how you can create a trigger API, okay, with all the basic details. And then you can also have a drag and drop capabilities, how you can have to drag and drop, how you have to drag and drop component here. So once you have completed this supplier, then we have also gone to Pro Code application, and we are showing you how you can set up a cloud application programming model then. So this is a basically way where you have shown that, okay, you go to the business application studio. If you want to go to the VS Code, you can also go to the VS Code, and then you have to go and try out the application. So we have also shown you how you can create a linkage between SAP CAP application and SAP Build Process Automation. So we have also shown you that in the Build Process Automation, you have a full-fledged trigger API here, and you can just have, when you view it, you will get all the details here. So if I will also show you for you, maybe if I will go here in the trigger API in the deployment mode, then you can see that you have a supplier API, and then you can choose view and you can see all the details here, okay, which you can directly call from either Postman or the cloud application programming model. Okay. So these are the few details, and we have shown you how you can create a full-blown linkage here, okay, from the trigger API. And once you have did it out, then finally we have shown you how you can deploy your cloud application programming model. Okay, so you can directly go and deploy your cloud application programming model. You can also go and whether it's a trial landscape or whether it's a productive landscape, it's a better option is to try a productive landscape, because you have to talk with SAP S4HANA system as well. And then once you have completed this CAP deployment, then you have to create a linkage for event-based communication. Basically, it's an event mesh. So in this case, you have to do some changes on event mesh as well, where you have to get a service credential of event mesh, okay, which is basically required to configure in SAP S4HANA system. And then you have to go to SAP S4HANA system, and then you can go and via simple, very smooth flow, you can go and create a event mesh configuration. Once event mesh configuration is done, then you can create a topic for you. Like in this case, we are creating a business partner created and business partner change topic. It means that once the SAP S4HANA system a business partner created or changed, then the event will get triggered. And in the end, we are also showing you that how you can create a build work zone and or integrate with your HTML5 application. Okay, so this is a basically step-by-step guidance to demonstrate you, to show you that how with the SAP work zone will give you a very good launchpad to start and play with your services application. So once you have done, then we are also showing you how to do a full-fledged test. So in this case, you can see that we get the form link here, and then you can directly go and create a form link. Then you can also monitor the processes here in the build process automation, and then in the finally you can also verify the details in SAP S4HANA system. So once this is given, then you can directly go and start the scenario if you have S4HANA system. If you don't have S4HANA system, we have also given you option to go and start with the mock server. You just have to deploy a simple CAP application, which we have created just to make a synchronous SAP S4HANA system for you. And you have to just simply deploy the application, and this mock server will give you all the required capabilities like sending events or getting the API details. All these mock server things will work for you. Yeah, and once you have completed the detail, you can just complete the detail, and you can also give the feedback from us. Yeah. And this is a simple GitHub repository for you, okay, which is also available in the Discovery Center mission, and you have all the code snippets for you where you can go and visit all the details. And a few of the details is also present on the README as well, where you can see what are the focus topic of this mission. If you want to quickly start from there, you can also see what are the details which is needed directly. So basically it's a linkage of the Discovery Center missions. And then you can see this basically few code snippets where you can also see that we are also trying to show you that how you can link your how you can do cloud application programming model. You will also get to learn more about this. You will learn about a lot of things like workflow, how you can integrate workflow with CAP, how you can integrate messaging with CAP programming model, how you can use remote connections, like how you can talk with S4HANA system API business partner from CAP. So all these things, all the cloud application programming model artifact can be very useful if you try out this application, because this application will give you a lot more learning here. So in this case, you can see that we are showing you how you can consume the messages from Event Mesh. Then we have shown few of the functions here, and in the end, we are also showing you that how you can talk with the SAP S4HANA build, SAP Build Process Automation from CAP programming model. So few of the things is definitely there. So maybe you can have a try on it. So any questions?
Thanks, Sayed. There was one question from Adi, and as you were showing the connection with S4 systems, so the question is, can SAP Private Link Service be also used in contrast to, SAP Cloud Connector? Would that be an option available?
So right now you are asking about the private link service.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Private link service is not available right now for this scenario, but definitely if you are aware of the configuration, we can definitely do that part. But for this particular focus scenario, we are mostly focused on Cloud Connector.
Thanks. I could see one more question from Gabe, and it is, would it be possible to integrate with BTP OCR? That's the question.
BTP OCR, maybe get some more detail.
Yeah, Gabe, can you please abbreviate what you mean by OCR? Would be great. Is it optical character recognition, something like that, or if you can detail it out?
Yeah. Hello, guys. Yes, the OCR is optical character recognition, so something like this functionality. And also, for example, yeah. So, is it possible to add this functionality or to integrate it if it's not available in the SAP area, SAP?
So I am not aware of the exact BTP OCR, but what I understood that if the landscape is provided from the business technology platform, then of course you will be definitely able to try out the scenario because you have a.
Okay, so OCR is optical character recognition. It means, for example, when I have invoices in procurement, and I want to automate the reading of invoices, that it will be not manually entered in the SAP, but it will be read, and through RPA, it will be just loaded to SAP. So I need this kind of functionality to be able to identify the vendor, to be able to identify the number of the invoice and so on, just to load it to SAP. So I need this kind of functionality too. And yeah, this is just one example. I'm reading the invoices, but there are many other. When you have something in the paper that you can through OCR you will be able to read the information from the document.
Yeah, from my opinion, yes. If BTP OCR is provided from the business technology platform, and if the artifact entitlement is present for you for the build process automation, and the proper application like feature is provided for you, then definitely you will be able to complete this mission. Regarding to your like OCR part, the build process automation, maybe you are also aware of that there is a document extraction services for the invoice is available here. So if you want to also get this feature, then you can use this particular technology as well for that.
Okay, thank you.
And Gabe, we also have a use case published on, Discovery Center, which I'll be sharing the link in a couple of seconds. Their exact use case that you just now mentioned to, extract documents from your S4HANA using the document information extraction service, and then, using BPA to develop an app. The same use case is available. You can check it out, start that mission, and see the basic steps. How would you extract PDFs and images? So I'll share that link. Maybe you can start that mission as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for the question, though. Yeah, if there are further questions, you can, post in the chat or also unmute yourself to ask the question. Great. Meanwhile, you think of the questions, I would like to also share a couple of things like, how can you land up to Discovery Center? How can, you see what all things are available for you to consume as a participant or as a person who wants to adopt cloud and also wants to adopt BTP. So the very easy thing, or, the most common step that we all do is go to your browser of your choice and then, search for Discovery Center, where The first link would be something that takes you to Discovery Center. And this is the landing page I would recommend you to start off your journey with, where we have, two main facets, goes by the name of missions and services. Services, I don't have to explain that, what is all about, but primarily it houses all the BTP services that is available for you to consume and also see how, you can get started with them. All the services are available over here, as we were talking about the business application studio, or let's say ABAP environment, or any other service. This is the place I would, recommend you to come and then explore these, where you have more information on the pricing, the roadmap, and the customer success story. So that's would be my recommendation to, explore when you have queries on the services part. Coming back to the missions part, or the use cases that we saw one today, here you can explore other use cases that are available on top of BTP. All these use cases are built on top of BTP, leveraging one or the other services. So this is also one place I would personally recommend you to come and start uh, your journey with. So if I take an example of this mission where you want to reduce your CO2 footprint primarily on the sustainability area with some AI application on top of BTP, this would be the best place to start off. As Syed already shown, how a solution diagram would look like. This tells you all the components involved within the use case, how the flow would be, things and like that. So very, very handy for, an architect to take all the decisions. Then also it caters to your pricing queries. If you have questions how much this solution would cost you, so we do have an estimate. This is just a fair estimation of the services that would be required to implement this scenario. But if your scenario already has some of the services, you can skip them. So this gives you an idea of how much cost would be there to implement this exact same scenario. Other things beautifully were explained by Syed, but we do have this concept of support, where we have some experts who can, provide you guidance. The mission that you just now saw, the use case that you just now saw, Syed was our expert. Likewise, we have other experts from PM community, from dev community to, help and support you on these use cases. Some customer stories that can help you to get some motivation, how the ecosystem is, implementing these stories, and so on and so forth. So yeah, all the links are available in the slide deck. Also, we have shared in the chat. So feel free to, start these missions and then get hands-on with them. So I think there are no further questions as of now, but yeah, if you have more questions, please feel free to, post them in the chat, or also unmute yourself and ask those questions. With that, I guess, thanks. I would like to really thank, Syed, to take out time and then present this session, this use case on, how to extend your S4HANA on-premise systems and then, build out solutions. Just like Garage, we have other sessions as well that we run on a monthly basis. On this deck, you would see on the frequency that we are hosting these sessions. Specifically for Garage, we run it in multiple rounds. So we do have an upcoming repeat telecast of the same session, where again Syed would be speaking later today. So if you or your colleagues want to attend the session, were not able to make time for this session, feel free to join those sessions later today as well. The next Garage would be hosted on Wednesday of 2nd of August, where we would be also picking one similar use case, where we will be building an event-driven scenario with some, Azure and AWS services hosted on top of BTP. So feel free to make out time, share these sessions with your colleagues and counterparts as well. And most importantly, go ahead and start these missions. We are trying to help you get started with these use cases and then make you adopt cloud with BTP as your platform of your choice. With that, I would like to open the round if there are further questions, or if Syed, you want to share something additional with the participants or not. Let's wait for one more minute if you have last minute questions. If not, I would like to really thank you for taking out time and making this session a wonderful success. Thank you so much and have a good time ahead.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, team.
Thanks, Syed. The recording and the slide deck will be shared to your mailboxes. So yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Gaurav and Syed. Was great. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
then.
Bye.
Yep. Let's close this round. Thank you, everyone.